So who watched the debates last night? I didn't watch all of it. I did set it to record. Why did I do that? Because you wanted to watch it later? No. No. So that I have factual, out of their mouths sentences, so that whoever wins the next election, and from the looks of it last night, I think there was a clear winner as far as I'm concerned, which would be Romney, but I have that recorded so I could always tap into that, say next year after whoever it is becomes president, it has to deal with whatever it is. Now, I'm gonna venture here and say, when we saw what happened in 2008 with the collapse that started at the end of 2008, that was basically like October. We had the elections right then and there, you know, the next month. We also had the stock market crashing right after that same time. You know, Dow 6,500 or however low it got, 60-something hundred. This was all like within the interim period of Bush leaving and Obama taking office, basically. So that they could kind of, you look at it and say, well, it wasn't Bush's fault, he was leaving. But you can also say, well, it wasn't Obama's fault, he was just stepping in, for God's sakes, especially. The guy's just stepping in. So you just kind of leave that one alone. I'm going to venture here and say, you don't suppose that the same type of thing's going to happen with the big collapse coming now in America. So that, in other words, before whichever president or whichever candidate becomes president, that they'll do the same thing, you know, right between, say, you know, November or whatever of this year to, let's just call it February of next year. You don't suppose they'll allow the big crash to happen? They could. It'd be perfectly timed. That way, again, Obama's stepping out and a new guy stepping in. Now, that would be only if Romney won. Because if Obama wins again, it would definitely need to be after the November election. So they could still do the same thing, even at the same time frame, even though the same guy's stepping back into office. So at that point, you definitely could, everyone would want to blame that on him, and they can't say, well, he was stepping into office. No, he was already in office the whole time and just basically went right back to work. So you can't say that it, you know, it happened not on his watch. But the reason I say that they could do it then in the same time frame again is because they don't care at that point. The man's already been elected again, re-elected. It'll be back to business as usual. They won't care if the stock market crashes at that point. The man's in there for 4 years. You're stuck with them for 4 years. This is why I'm telling you, I hope Romney wins. That way we can all see the utter destruction of the United States as we've known it right before our very eyes, and that man will be in charge. People on the Democratic side will be able to say, well, our guy, basically, yeah, he kind of screwed things up, so apparently America swapped their votes and voted Romney, or else he wouldn't have won. Therefore, people have changed their mind on Obama, obviously, in order for Romney to win. Again, this is if he wins. So if Romney wins, we've all casted new votes towards a new guy because we did not like the way the old guy was doing things. That would be an obvious answer or reply to why then did the new guy get in there instead of the old guy, Obama. Therefore, it'll be spanking, as I said, it'll be spanking time for Americans. Wake up time, reality time, and last but not least, a big spanking on the fanny for Americans. Because whatever's going to happen, the big crash, etc., there's no way in hell, at least in my opinion, but there's no way in hell we're going to go 4 more years without the big crash occurring. When you see them desperately pumping up everything, keeping things just barely intact, fighting tooth and nail to keep silver prices down, fighting tooth and nail to keep the stock market rising, and then it keeps falling, and they got to pump it back up, and it keeps falling, and they pump it back up. You know, the QE stuff, QE to infinity, mortgage-backed security buyback, $40 billion a month. You know, I mean, could they pull another 2 years out of their hat? They could. I mean, seriously, they could. But I don't know that they would be able to really do it. I just don't think so. So, I think it'll happen definitely before the 4 years are up of whoever's president. All I saw last night was a show. Like a play. Two guys going on, you know, like a Saturday Night Live skit. Romney clearly dominated, which is why I tell you I hope he wins, because the Democrats just had their spanking for the last 4 years. If Romney wins, the Republicans will get their spanking that they need, and unfortunately it'll be the biggest spanking they've ever had to receive, because the big collapse will happen under the next president's watch, if that happens to be Romney. If it's not, then it's going to be Obama again, and then that means in 2016 we may have to deal with the same crap again, and then maybe they'll let Romney win, or whoever the next Republican candidate is win. And there won't be too many lessons learned, because then everyone will say, see, you should have voted Republican, see, we fixed things. You can't fix something that basically fixed itself by imploding on itself and forcing a reset, if you will, such as a big collapse. So, I mean, I don't feel any different right now going to work, on my way to work, than I did yesterday, the day before, not seeing these debates, seeing, you know, some of the debates last night. I don't feel any different. I don't feel happy. I don't feel sad. All I know is it was another staged event, another bunch of softball questions that they're always thrown. The real meaty, important questions, never talked about. And as I said before, last presidential election of 2008, I was flipping back and forth to the third-party channels, which was like the local bozo channel that nobody watches, and then all the mainstream channels, which had the two-party candidates on there arguing, or excuse me, debating, yeah. And I would listen to the question, the bullcrap questions being thrown at you. What do you think about America's education system? Well, blah, 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 blah. What do you think about America's healthcare system? Are you telling me we're being asked the same, they're asking the same questions that they ask every single candidate every single time we've had elections? What do you think about healthcare, and what do you think about the school system? Basically, you know. And what are you gonna do to help jobs? Same questions. No one's gonna talk about this massive debt we have, other than I'm gonna balance the budget. How does one balance something that is unbalanceable? How does one defy gravity when gravity's always there? When you throw something in the air, how do you defy this force that's always going to pull whatever you throw up in the air right back down? And furthermore, how moronic are you to even get on the TV or the air and say that you're going to defy gravity and throw this thing in the air, and then my plan will get it done, his plan won't? He's had 4 years to do it, and he hasn't been able to do it. Yeah, because it can't be done. However, both of you clowns are saying you're going to do it. This time, Obama's going to do it. 4 years wasn't enough. I'll do it this time, I promise. Romney, hey, I haven't had a chance yet. I'll do it. Give me a shot. Put me in, coach. Come on, coach, put me in. I'll defy gravity. Gravity has already been predetermined to be defied, actually, by a very slick way. It's called, in this case, talking about the $16 trillion debt, we will default on our debt. And as the elections are taking place, or everyone's focused on the debates last night, Turkey is shelling Syria because they allege that Syrian forces shelled them somehow, and their radar stations could pick up roughly where the projectiles come from. They've determined it was definitely Syria, so they're retaliating. Although the news article even said they weren't sure if it was the rebels or the Syrian government, but they don't care. We're going to shell back anyways. This is an act of war. So as you can see, stuff is stepping back up into Syria the same way it was with Libya. Nothing's different. They're going to overthrow Syria. The Muslim Brotherhood will win, just like they said in Egypt. As I've said, first time Egypt had a freaking democratic election process. You mean to tell me, again, it was a split decision, 51-49 or whatever, so close, oh my God. And the guy that Lindsey Williams said would be given those Middle Eastern countries one by one, right on down the line, which is known as the Muslim Brotherhood. You mean to tell me this democratic election process allowed for this outside person who was not part of Egypt to win the citizens of Egypt and allow him to be the president? And you know what? There was no revolting. They accepted it. They thought that, hey, I voted and this is just the way it went. You win some, you lose some. So their system's rigged. We already know that because our system's rigged. Which also tells you that it doesn't matter about these debates. Whoever the elite want to win this time is going to win. Because they always want someone to win each time, and they make sure that person's wins every single time. The problem is we don't know, we haven't been able to find out, even in the conspiracy world, which candidate they really want. Do they want Obama back in there, or do they want Romney in there? And again, finally, as I leave now, it doesn't matter. Nothing will change. It's not going to get better. This is it. This is just like George Carlin said. This is it. And as he even said in his video, he was doing a show, 2008, January, talking about the elections. That would be coming up in November of the same year. He said, I think you guys had this election year. You know what? I bet as soon as you're done voting and the new president takes office, I bet things will change for the better immediately. Being very sarcastic. We've had Obama for the last 4 years. Was that one hell of a statement from some comedian? Yes, it was. Spot on. You don't think he can reuse that same statement this year, do you? Right now, before the elections, and say the same thing. I can assure you he can. Because Romney has flip-flopped on every single thing he said he's for, he's now against. And then when he needs to be back for it again, he's back for it again. When he needs to be against it, he's against it. What area are we in? Are we in a pro-abortion? Yep, I'm for abortion. Okay, what area are we in now? Pro-life? I am pro-life. You can't have someone flip-flopping on TV, telling you to your face, I'm this way, I'm this way, I'm this way, and then immediately say I'm not this way. That is who that's who everyone's telling me is the better choice than Obama. I'm here to tell you neither of them are the right choice, and both of them, no matter which one makes it, lead this country into its worst and final hours. And the beautiful thing about this is, if there's anything beautiful about it, this is all part of a grand cycle. Cycles that always happen, as I've explained. The end of democracy does happen, always. There's no such thing as a democracy that just keeps going. There will be anarchy, there will be a dictatorship after that, and then something new will come after that. We are in the phase of democracy starting to leave. And whoever wins this election will be in charge as that process happens. They may even go straight into anarchy and dictatorship, depending on how things go. It could happen that fast. So that's the cycle. And again, the beautiful thing is, because that cycle is there and it's solid, it happens all the time, it automatically tells you something you need to know. It doesn't matter who's going to win. The cycle is knocking on the door. I'm here. I'm here. Cycle time. Well, we'll just erase that cycle if old Romney wins. If Romney wins, that cycle won't apply. I bet if Obama wins, that cycle will just stop knocking at the door and turn around. You know, hey, son, stop coming up every day and going down at night. Romney's going to win. Your cycle's no good anymore. You're not coming up anymore. It's going to be dark forever. Or maybe light forever. How about that? No. Good day.